My name is Bert Himkenius. I'm the president here at Kemper Catholic, and we're not going to have very many introductions except when they have to present, because there were a lot of people that worked on this. So I've learned a long time ago, when there's that many people that worked on a project, it's better just to not worry about introductions, because you surely miss somebody. But we're going to have some important people that are going to talk to you tonight, and they'll introduce themselves as they come up. And of course, I would like to introduce our three principals, because they will be, two principals I guess, they will be answering questions. Mr. Ted Geringer is our elementary principal. Of course, this starts at 6th grade, so it doesn't really have a direct impact on his areas. But Penny Miller, our 9-12 principal, you can just kind of stand there. And Earl Schultz, our 6-12 principal. They'll be answering questions. The rest of them, I think they'll introduce themselves as they come up to present. So I want to begin with a prayer, and so just a short prayer as we kick off our meeting here. Ever-living God, we are gathered here this evening as people called to the ministry of Catholic education. Bless our time together. Help us to listen, to hear, to use our gifts, and to respect the gifts of others. We are looking for a vision, a new innovative idea that will help us provide the best possible Catholic school for our sons and daughters. Send us your Spirit to light a fire under us, to be creative, to be courageous, a fire that will lead us to an action for the ministry of Catholic education. We ask this through Jesus, whose kingdom we seek to further. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. More people need a chair. As I said, there's a lot of work that's gone into this. We're excited about this. I hope you are excited about it. 2.5 years ago, actually about 3 years ago now, the Diocese of Sioux City started their own long-range planning. And I think you probably have heard this story before, but I'll just briefly say that. They did their planning, and then each school in the diocese had to do their planning internally. We had some subcommittees, several subcommittees that worked here at Kemper. Some of you were on those subcommittees. And they came forward with some recommendations, and those then went through a feasibility study, some testing that was done. Some of you came in to interview and told us what you thought about it. And so briefly, just to get to the nitty-gritty here, technology was one of the things that was very important and came to the top. We heard it often, and so that's what we're here tonight, is we want to talk about technology. Now, John Steff has come out. John wants to say a couple words, because as you all know, you all have if you're in business or farming or whatever, you have technology, and you know how expensive it is, and you know how changing it is. So capital is important, and we'll let John talk a little bit about that. So
I'm going to use the mic a little easier. Bill Schrod was involved with planning early on with some of the things for the campaign here. And you see a lot of pictures of kids with their little devices in the newspaper, and that's got a lot of sizzle and popularity. But some of them had to say, well, slow down, time out. What about all the stuff, the network, the backbone? So infrastructure of this technology is a component of this campaign. You've heard about this. We kicked it off to the public just recently. It's our 4.6 million is our primary goal, and we're at almost 3.4, so we're very excited about that. And parents received a letter recently in the mail too. We'd like to have parents be involved with this campaign. Kurt and Lynette Schweers are here. If you guys could stand, they're one of our chair couples. So Kurt and Lynette are hard at work helping with this campaign. We're honored to have them. But a major capital campaign is about once a decade. The last time Kemper did one was in 2004 for central air and other needs. But major capital projects, you need to do a multi-million-dollar if your school wants to stay ahead of the game, and if you want a thriving school. And we've got to do these things. And this technology, one-to-one, is not possible without an upgraded infrastructure, and Bill may talk more about that. It's outdated, and we have 4 centers to address for that. So that's a big part of this. So I see several of you in the audience that have already been a part of this campaign. You can feel very proud. I am part of Kemper Tomorrow. So thank you for all those people out there. And my other job to you is tell others, spread the word. Be proud that you are part of Kemper Tomorrow. And every parent now has a mailing, and we hope you can all be involved in that. If you have any questions, please let me know or contact the principal. And we'd like to really get a lot of support from our parents. As Vern said, it's something that doesn't just fall out of the sky. It's not cheap. These major capital expenses do take about once a decade. So it's an exciting time for Kemper and for your kids to be part of Kemper Tomorrow. So thanks for listening.
Well, I guess I'm the next one up. I'm really happy to see so many of you here on a nice evening as such as tonight. My name is Mary Trent. I'm the Technology Integration Specialist for the Kemper system. And so I'm going to kind of walk you through a few things tonight, talking about our BYOD program, which stands for Bring Your Own Device program. So just a couple of things when you came in tonight. You probably picked up a half sheet like this. You need to have one of those. If you don't have a pen, let us know. We'll get a pen for you to fill this out. We would like for you to fill this out before you leave tonight. The reason why we're having you do this too is just to kind of give us an idea of approximate numbers. I know we're not going to get exact numbers, but we'd kind of like to get a feel as to percentages and that kind of thing. So the other paper that you picked up is twofold. On the front is sort of the agenda of the evening. You can follow along with that, take notes if you want. There's going to be opportunity for you to ask questions, and please don't hesitate to stop any of us and ask your questions, please. That's what we're here for. This program we know is going to be probably bumpy, as any new program is, and so your feedback is key and something that we look forward to having. On the back of that sheet, you're going to find just some suggested devices that we are recommending for the BYOD and some price breakdowns there too. And some of those things are not necessarily in stone either. We'll talk about some of that stuff a little later too. If last week it was, you were either in the mail or email sent out a form talking about the Bring Your Own Device program for next year. If for some reason you didn't get that emailed or whatever, I do have a sign-up sheet if you want to, before you leave, to fill that out so we make sure we get that document to you as well. We're going to kind of go over that tonight anyway, little by little, and so you kind of understand all the ins and outs of the program, okay? You may be asking yourself too, like, how did this all get started? Where is this starting from? Many schools, you've probably heard in Iowa and around the United States, public and private schools are going to one-to-one programs. And one-to-one means one device per student. And device could be anything from an iPad, Chromebook, laptop, those kinds of things. And so whenever you have that many devices, and some schools are providing for those, many of them public schools that have the funding for that. We do not have that kind of funding. Also, a lot of schools, when this all started coming out a couple years ago, we heard nothing about horror stories from schools about how they got devices in, they had no teacher training set up, or they didn't have the infrastructure to support it, and these programs failed. And when we talked about, what we want for Kemper in the future, we decided that we need to really form a committee and talk about things that we can do so that we don't fail. We want this to be a successful program. We want it to be something we're proud of. And so we took the opportunity to form, from the technology committee, I'm the chairperson for the technology committee, then we formed the one-to-one committee because we needed to have a subcommittee to study these options of going one-to-one. And Bring Your Own Device is just one entity of that. There's lots of different things. We looked at different devices. We looked at what levels. We looked at all kinds of policy issues. We did lots of debating throughout the year. We met several times throughout the year. And then one of the things that really, I think, was most valuable to us is we went and toured some schools. We went to Bishop Heelan. They are a one-to-one, a Bring Your Own Device school, and they're very similar to us in a lot of ways. And they explained to us how, how it works so well for them. kids take pride in owning their own document, or their own device, excuse me. If it breaks, they don't, or if something's not working, they're not just gonna put it back in the cart and grab another one and not let anybody know that there's something wrong with it. They're gonna want to try and fix it themselves, or they'll take pride in that. They also said that so many of the kids already brought devices even before they started the program, and that's the case here too. We have a lot of kids, especially in the high school, that bring their devices already. They talked about how they needed to upgrade their network, and so the money they had available, they spent it on that. And they talked about there was an area of business that offered refurbished laptops too, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later too. So there's a lot of things that we had in common with them that kind of spoke to us. And we also toured Fort Dodge St. Edmunds, and they are a one-to-one school with Mac laptops. And they told us too that they're not going to have the funding to continue that. So we didn't want to have a program that we start and that we won't be able to fund in the future. So we wanted something to be sustainable. Then we also toured Van Meter, which was a pretty progressive school. It's a real tiny school, but they were very progressive with their technology and their integration of what they're doing. And so it really opened our eyes to some possibilities and things that are possible in the future, but then we also felt pretty good about the things that we had been doing here at Kemper as well. One of the biggest things we noticed when you talk to teachers from other schools that are in these one-to-ones, their number one complaint is, well, there's actually two, but number one is they never had training on how to correctly integrate technology in their curriculum. And number two, their infrastructure or their network was too slow, so it wasn't even worth using them anyway. And so those are two big keys that I think we feel that we're covering our bases. Teachers at Kemper, they attend at least 4 hours of tech training outside the school day. It's an expectation. We've been doing that now for 2 years. Every teacher in our system has created at least one technology integration project that meets the Iowa Core standard on high-level thinking skills and rigor and relevance. And every teacher can also get credit for that if they like. And if they go attend our tech trainings and they want to get credit, that's 15 hours that they come outside of the school day. And we have over half of our teachers doing that. So our teachers are really committed to learning more about technology. And we feel that what we have done the last few years preparing for this is something a lot of schools missed. That our teachers feel confident that there is still room to grow, and that but we're on the right track. So that's kind of where we're at right now. In our mission statement, I'll let you read that too. One of the key points in that I want to point out to you is that we're preparing our children for the 21st century. When our students leave Kemper for the workplace or for college, and they're ready, they're inundated with technology no matter where they are. It's in their pockets, it's in their cars, it's everywhere. And so it's our job to prepare them for the 21st century. And one of those things too is to be able to work with many different devices and not just one. If we're a one-to-one school, that means we would buy like everyone a Mac laptop for every subject area, for every grade level. And that just doesn't make sense. It doesn't always fit certain areas. For instance, a Mac iPad might make more sense in a math class than an iPad, or a laptop. And so those are things that we looked at. If we bring your own device and we supplement with other devices, then we're able to move those devices around and give the classrooms the best device for the activity that they're doing, and the training to go with it too. We also worked on goals for our one-to-one committee too. And just looking at some of those too, one of the key ones is student engagement. Student achievement, it's kind of early in the one-to-one or bring your own device studies. They're just starting to look at student achievement. These kinds of things take years to start to see student achievement increase, but definitely right away, you see student engagement. And students are more engaged with their learning. Now they have online and tech tools to enhance their learning, and also the support of their teachers. And again, the best practice in technology integration. We feel that we have started that, we're a good start for that, and we're just going to continue from there. And we're lucky tonight too, we have some teachers that are going to share some of the things that they've already done in their classrooms with us tonight as well. We also came with a purpose as well, a purpose statement. And again, to the technology-driven world. That's really important for us too, that we are preparing our students for that. Okay, so the meat and potatoes of the program. We're opening this up for grades 6 through 12. Students may bring a personal computing device to school. The purchase of a device for your children, we are encouraging that. However, if you are unable to purchase that or not willing to, whatever the case may be, the school is going to provide devices that can be checked out during the school day. Those will not be checked out to go home at night. That's the benefit of having your own device, is that you can take it back and forth to school, save your own items to it and such like that. So they'll be checked out from the libraries, we're thinking for right now. We're also talking about possibilities of having libraries stay open a little later in the afternoons or maybe earlier in the mornings or both. So we'll talk about some devices and options there too coming up. Any questions on that so far? Anything? Okay. All right. So some more important notes about different devices and things. We are a PC-based school. We've been using Windows-based machines for as long as I've been here too. But we also have like a Mac laptop cart in the art department here at the high school. And we have several iPads in the elementary classrooms, and we're starting to look at putting some more of those. Also, like I mentioned earlier, like possibly math classes. We're having the math teachers right now and myself doing research on what's the best device for that department. Because really, laptops in the math department, when they need to show their work and that kind of thing, just probably is not the best device to use. We talk about also the personal equipment is the student's responsibility. It's their device. And so we will help them get on the network and some simple troubleshooting. But major technical issues with your devices, that would be the student's responsibility to handle. And we'll talk a little bit more about the networking stuff too, but we are updating our network this summer, complete overhaul. And we would have needed to do this network upgrade even if we continued as we are. It's just getting too slow, it's outdated. Towards the end of the year, we're seeing more and more issues, so it's time. And so we're excited that that's going to happen this summer. Okay? All right, I'm going to turn it over to Bill, unless you have any questions for me so far. We really would like your input too, so don't be afraid to ask questions or have comments.
Could you talk a little bit about the Chromebook on the slide, how that might be integrated?
Oh, I'm sorry, the Chromebook, I'm sorry about that. The Chromebooks also, the Chromebooks, if you're not familiar with those, they're sort of like a laptop, but not exactly. Chromebooks are powered by the Chrome browser. So you open it up and you're on the internet just like that. There's no logging in, there's nothing like that. And we use Google Docs heavily at Kemper. We'll be doing more and more of that. Our email's going to switch to Gmail and stuff over the summer. And so the Chromebooks work really well with Google. It's sort of their like brother and sister sort of thing. They work pretty fast, and they're lightweight and portable. And we'll kind of talk about different products too throughout that we're suggesting for different areas, grade-wise and stuff too. Okay? Anything else? Okay, I'll turn it over to Bill.
Hello, I'm Bill Schrod, I'm the Technology Coordinator here at Kemper. And first I'll give you a little background of what we are doing with our network. We are going to completely overhaul our entire backbone of our network here. Every access point, every network drop in the classrooms, all of our switches and our servers are going to be replaced this summer. So we are completely overhauling it. And we have a company coming in, it's called Prime Communications. The person is a Kemper grad, and we're going to, starting the day after Memorial Day, start taking our network apart and rebuilding it. So we should have this all, we're hoping in about 6 weeks we should have it all back up and going again. It's a pretty big undertaking, but they have, Prime Communications is a pretty good company, and they do a lot of hospitals and schools and things like that, so I think they're be a very good company for us. I'm going to cover the bring your own device usage. First off, students may bring their own devices, and they can be used during the class, during the day. We are not going to require the teachers that they have to use the device every day. I mean, or even at all in their class. I mean, it may not fit for certain classes. Device just is. I mean, it's a tool, and if that tool works for that class, then they can use it. And so we're gonna not say, okay, you have to use a laptop every single day. No, yeah. Oh, by the way, one other thing, you may notice Mary's a little more Mac-based and I'm a little more PC-based. We have that little disagreement every once in a while. So, students will come in and they'll be able to connect to our network, and we will have our standard compliant content filter in place. Students should come to school every day with a fully charged laptop or device, whatever they use, whether it's an iPad, laptop, Chromebook, because plugins in the school are very limited. I mean, having them to be able to pull out their power supply and plug it in someplace while they're sitting in class is really limited. We suggest they carry their computers in a sleeve or some type of a sleeve with a handle, because we don't allow backpacks to be carried around in school, so they will have to have, I would recommend they have some type of case that they put in. The ones we're going to check out from the library will have a case on them of some type of protected device or cover. So. Some of the devices we're suggesting, and this is 6th through 8th grade. Right now, they are using, we gave them 15 Chromebooks over here in the middle of the year here, and they've been used very heavily, and they really like these Chromebooks at the 6th to 8th grade level, and they work extremely well over there. So we kind of are recommending a Chromebook, but if you want to buy it, here's an example. If you're an 8th grader, and they're going to come to Kemper, and we'd sooner see them have a laptop in the upper grades, then maybe you want to look at purchasing a laptop instead. Either one works very well. I mean, we have some Chromebooks in the high school too that we do use. You are limited on certain things you can do though. But at the middle school, they work very well. The laptops, the reason we suggest 3 years old or less is just so that it's going to work. Now, I'm not saying if it's 4 or 5 years old, it's not going to work. It will. But, the laptop lifespan is about 5 years at most anymore, it seems like. So, you can have, we'd like to see virus and software installed on these PCs if it's a laptop. And I'll talk about that down here a little bit later. And we have, or an iPad or a tablet. Now, if you have an iPad or a tablet, a lot of times there's keyboarding and stuff that the kids have to do, so that's why we kind of are leaning more towards the Chromebook or the laptop, because at least when they're keyboarding, they have the full keyboard in front of them. If you have an iPad, you can buy your laptop, your keyboards that go with it. And that's kind of what we're going to suggest if you do want to do that. Or tablets are the same way, any kind of Windows-based or Android-based tablet. So. Minimum screen size is, we'd like to see at least 5 by 7, no smaller. Using their smartphone, it can be done, but it's pretty difficult. I mean, we'd like to see them at least have a decent sized screen on their device. Okay, for 9 through 12, it's pretty well the same, except for we're kind of suggesting the laptop instead, a PC or a Mac, just because of I don't know, for like office products, you have Microsoft Office on it. Another suggestion I have on that is to have there's a program out there, software out there called Open Office, which works almost as well as Microsoft Office, and it's free. It's a free download. It's openoffice.org, and it has a Word, a spreadsheet, word processor, PowerPoint type presentations, things like that. So, if you don't want to spend the money for an office products in there, you can do this Open Office. Very reasonable, and it works very well. Otherwise, a Chromebook, like I said, there are going to be restrictions. They may have to, for certain classes, may have to go to the library and check out a laptop. We're going to have a supply of laptops in high school, and we're going to have a supply of Chromebooks in the middle school. That's how we're going to do that. So we may be purchasing up to 100 laptops here for the high school for checkout, and we're looking at about maybe 75 or so, depending upon how you guys answer your survey. That's how we're going to base the type of devices we need to purchase yet for the school to use. So, and once again, an iPad or tablet. Okay. I also was talking a little bit about virus software. Back up just a little bit here. I'd recommend either Norton or McAfee for the virus software on your PC-based unit. But Microsoft has a free software virus checker out there called Microsoft Security Essentials, which is a free download also. Although it's not real good at catching stuff when it comes in, but if you run the scan once a night or something like that, or once a week, it will clean things up that do accidentally get on there. So actually that's what we run on all of our computers here at school. Comparison of recommended devices. We have just the tablets, and once again, those can range so much. But like I said, we'd like to see you have a keyboard on them. The Chromebook, right now we're looking at the Acer or the Samsung. We've been doing some research, and the Acer actually seems to be at this point a little faster than the Samsungs, and seems to be as durable. Problem is they don't want to run certain websites because of its Java. Your iPad is, your cost range there, and it won't work on Flash websites. So, Windows laptop, once again, virus software needs to be on. Windows 7 is fine. I'm not big on 8.1 yet, but that's what a lot of them come with now. And a Mac laptop. And I think there are not many restrictions on that. You don't have to worry too much about Mac shit with virus software. So, any questions on any of that?
Bill, do you see, one person that comes to mind right now is like an Evan Swears, they've coming in and offering volume discounts?
We are going to have another meeting, and Penny will cover that later. We'll get into that a little bit in a bit. One other thing is, another option which I had down at the bottom here is some refurbished laptops. One company that does that, and they do it for Sioux City, Healan, is this brownbox.com. And you can purchase right off their site. He's a very good Catholic school supporter. His kids all go to Healan up there in Sioux City. We're kind of recommend them if you don't want to shell out $500 or $600 for a laptop. They have refurbished ones there, and Sioux City uses a lot of those, and they've had very good luck with them. So a lot of those are some old, I can't say old Gateway, because Gateway is still out there. We just haven't used Gateway here for a while, but the Gateways that are out there, I think they're a pretty decent machine yet. So then we'll get down to our support. We will be available anytime for these kids to answer questions that they have with the laptop. I mean, it's not like we're just going to say, no, it's your machine. We can't help you. We'll help them with some minor troubleshooting. If it gets to be something major, then obviously they're gonna have to either take it to someone who can take care of it for them, but we will do, you know, what we can to help them. You know, if you're in a classroom and can't get logged onto the network or something like that, obviously we're gonna come help and get that done. So, we do want your feedback, okay? I mean, if you guys see something that just doesn't look right to you, let us know, please. I mean, we're all gonna stumble a little bit this first year, I know we are. We just wanna make it, we wanna make this program work. And right now, we think this is our best way, because we just, I mean, we can't support, like, we just don't have well, I can say, we just don't have the funding to go out and buy a device for every single student, 6 through 12. We maybe could with the first round, but then we have nothing in place to support that later. So, I mean, it doesn't do us any good to do that now, and then 3 years from now have to buy a bunch more devices and then not be able to fund it. So, this is kind of why we're going to bring your own device, because we know a lot of students have their own already. So. Okay, so I think now we're going to move on with our teachers, and that's going to be first here.
I'm Lynette Schwers, and I teach in the St. Lawrence building, and I teach 6th grade technology and math class. Kemper's had several years of technology training for the staff, and they are always there to assist us in trying to implement any kind of technology devices and websites and tools that we would like to try. They're there, and they help us try to implement that into our curriculum. There are many online tools that we currently use, and we are always finding new ones out there, and we're investigating whether they would fit our curriculum or would they fit someone else's curriculum. And that's to help us prepare our students for the 21st century. Technology enhances our curriculum. The tools that we use enhances our curriculum. It allows improved communication and improved learning and organization for our students. And that is very important, as you see in the world. You know, everybody is carrying their device with them. They're always using it for businesses. I don't know of anywhere that you go that you don't have some sort of software or device that you have to use. In my classroom, I use technology on a weekly basis, most daily. With our math, I use the everydaymathonline.com source that you see here. This is the student version of it that they all have access to. Every student in 6th grade has a username and password that they can go on. And I'm hoping with the new infrastructure and the students being able to bring their devices, that I will be able to implement that into my classroom on a daily basis, because everyone will have their device, or I will provide devices for them. And we can do some of the online games that tie in with our curriculum and not take a long time to get everything logged on. It's right there. They can have it prepared. We can go on with our lesson and come back to it. And in computer class, I use Moodle, which is an online environment for a classroom. They're still in the computer classroom with me, but this is a place where I can host daily agendas. We can have forums, which are discussions online. They can discuss with me or with other students that post things online. I can put websites out there that they need to use. Some of the ones we use are Tagxito, Make Believe Comics, Brain Pop, Jing is another one that we use. And we're looking into using AudioBoo to possibly put the Stations of the Cross out there on our website. They would be made by our students reading the Stations of the Cross. So that's kind of a tech project in mind right now for them. And I just think it's going to be wonderful that, you know, the kids bring their devices. They're more apt to take more care of them if it's their own. And I'm just looking forward to being able to, you know, have technology in the classroom every day and know that it's going to work. So I am going to turn this over to Mary Ann.
Good evening. I am Marianne Spicer. I'm in the Kemper building. I teach the college career readiness students. And when I say I teach them, I teach them. You're going to see a slide to my left here. And if any of your students have had me for writing particularly, you will know about those awesome research papers. These students write anywhere from 3 to 10 pages. Technology has been my friend. Let me tell you why. I've learned here at Kemper, our students are involved in so many activities. Most of the time when they get home, it's between 8 and 9 p.m. and then they start on their homework. So therefore, in trying to meet the Iowa Core Writing Standard, I said, in research writing, let me set a time that I think I can get that paper from that student. Midnight is the time. And many of you will have students who stay up until 11:59 to send a paper to Mrs. Spicer. This is one of the papers. I did ask Nick Gredeman if I could use his paper. I said, Nick, you had a really good paper. Could I use that to show to the parents? He said, sure, Mrs. Spicer. Nick, at the end, he had his references under a citation we call APA, American Psychological Association. When they send it in, they must have all of their sources documented in an in-text citation format. I have an opportunity to go through and make corrections. You can see the purple lines, that's me. And at the end, I try to give them a comment as well as a grade. The students look forward to this. They do. And believe it or not, it's just like when they were in kindergarten or first grade, you know, when you put the pictures up on the bulletin board, they come in the classroom that next day, they want to see if their paper's on my board. If you don't get 100%, it's not on my board. And the guys will go around and punch each other and give each other a high five, and the girls smile and so forth and so on, but it's pretty good to see half the football players make the board. Now, look at that beautiful face. Josh Earlback. Now, I have to assess how much the students learn in terms of utilizing technology to research and produce a quality research paper. One of the new programs I learned through technology, they've been so kind, is MoveNote. Here the students utilize a laptop and a microphone. They can also put on their PowerPoint presentations to show how much they learn in terms of the various types of citations to document a research paper. Josh is going through the trials and tribulations, notice that, to explain to me how much he picked up utilizing the American Psychological Association. Normally what they will do is confer with each other in a group, give comments and feedback, revise, and then do a presentation. This is available on the Kemper website for all to see, particularly the lower grades, if they want to know how to put together a quality research paper. And with this product, I have assessed them, and they also receive a grade. And you can't believe they can't wait to see themselves on the screen as well. So I thank you. Enjoyable.
Hello, my name is Colleen Dermody, and I teach at the St. Lawrence Center, and I teach language arts, religion, and social studies. I'm going to share 2 examples with you. I use many more, but these are just some of the highlights. These are also 2 new things that I incorporated this year. I'm going for my master's right now at Iowa State, and these are some things that I learned from my grad classes that I've incorporated in. I also taught my peers, my coworkers, about these as well, and I know that some of them have caught on and gone to other classrooms too. What you're seeing right here is what is called Kid Blog. So I use this in both my religion and social studies class. This is from the religion one here. In religion, I use it as like an online journal, them answering big questions such as, how do I know that God loves me? Or this one here, how can I recognize God in my life? Or what are good qualities that I have? So they are around a central theme. And then down there at the bottom, you see comments. So they comment on their peers' posts. So it's extending the conversation outside of the 4 classroom walls. It's collaborating with students, not just in their group of 20 that they move around the day with, but also the 40 or the 60 that are all in my different sections. So that's really cool for collaboration. For social studies, I use it different each quarter. So they're looking at content and also then adding in their own creativity and imagination as well. What you're seeing here is called Blogster, and it looks like an online poster board of sorts. So I put this together for both social studies and religion. What you're seeing here is religion. We use this actually today and yesterday in class for Lenten Holy Week. So I put in different pictures and different links that either go to videos or online articles or online activities, and I give what I call the kids a scavenger hunt to complete. I usually use it as a preview for what we are going to be learning, and they have about 15 to 20 questions to then explore this Blogster and look for different information. So they're going through links, they're going through videos to listen for different information or look through articles. So the first time I used this in my classes, it was like Christmas. They were so excited, and they love to continue doing it throughout the year. They're always really excited, and I don't think I've ever seen them so engaged as when this has been happening in the room. So they really enjoy it, and it really helps to extend their knowledge and also really helps to preview what we're going to be learning. So it's been a great addition to the classroom. I'm glad that we are going to be going to the Bring Your Own Device program. One thing that I sometimes have trouble with is reserving either the computer lab or the mobile lab cards, which is a good thing because there's a lot of technology going on. A lot of people want to use it. But then sometimes I have to work around other people wanting to use the same things as well. So I'm really thankful that we are going to the Bring Your Own Device program, and I thank you for your support and look forward to using this in the future.
Good evening. Mrs. Spicer, I have to admit that at midnight when I was in college, I was probably still typing on the old typewriters. And there was nothing worse than about 2 o'clock in the morning you make a mistake, and you couldn't just wipe it off the way you can now. I mean, it's crazy. And you just go, oh my God. I always said a prayer if I do it at 8 o'clock that the cover sheet would not smear as I turned it in. But don't tell your children that. Okay. They're trusting me. Okay, it worked. I've been practicing for weeks with my heart. This is awesome. And I don't want to brag, but I did learn to tweet just recently. I was at a diocesan meeting today, and instead of working, I was tweeting. Okay. But in June, we will have a parent meeting, and it's going to give you a chance to actually come in and meet with different vendors, and they will have different prices, obviously. And I'm hoping that some of them will, I think somebody in the back asked, maybe coming up with group rates or something, and I'm hoping that that will come about. We'll have some local as well as some of the other. There will be 1 or 2, I believe, that will visit with you about the refurbished computers also, and as Bill said, they have worked very well, so it's kind of a dollar and cents thing. And they didn't tell me, but I'm guessing if you go to Kemper.org for BYOD, you'll get a lot of updates, and so you might want to continue to follow that. And if you do have questions, tonight's a good night to ask it. Before, we are not allowing our tech people to leave until we have finished, because there might be tough questions that we have to. Penny and I really know this, but we're going to want them to be able to show their stuff. Thank you very much.
Oh, I hate to say Earl beat me on that one. It hurts. I would just like to say I've been interviewing for a new open position at Kemper this week, and talking to the interviewees, several of them new graduates coming out of school, and of course they're very, very tech savvy, and they tell us how they would use, what they would use, and always have questions about what we have available for them to use. And certainly, as a high school principal, I really want our students to leave Kemper High School and go on to college and feel that they're very prepared to enter the college world. Probably 4 years later, by the time they get out, the work world will have changed, but at least we've made them technology learners and not afraid to do things that way. Like, some of you, it's harder, I should say me, you're mostly younger, the learning curve, so we want our students to be well prepared and to enter the workforce. So as Mary indicated earlier, just to get an idea of numbers, we're asking you before you leave to fill out the form, and it's pretty self-explanatory. The number of children that you have at the St. Lawrence Center that you're planning to purchase or have at home, that they will be bringing a device next fall. And then those at the St. Lawrence Center that at this time that you're not planning that will bring a device. Again, this can change, but just put a number in there, and then the same down at the Kemper building. And as was said earlier, we will have devices for students to use, although we think it's a better idea to have your own. That way everything is saved on your own. You can take it back and forth. You don't have to worry about any security issues, someone else using a device, that kind of thing. But certainly we want to assure you that there will be devices for every child to use next fall, no matter what the parent chooses to do. So fill this out before you go. And are there any general questions that we can direct to Mary? I just want to say that she indicated a little bit about our teacher training. We are extremely fortunate at Kemper to have had Mary and the crew that works with her, it's not just Mary, provide this tech training for our teachers the last several years. It started out pulling teeth, and Mary would agree, but it has really moved our teachers. They are very thankful to have had it. And as she indicated, many schools don't provide that. So you have all this great equipment and it sits in the corner and it's outdated before it's even utilized. So we are very fortunate and are planning PD time next year at the 612 building to work with more integration, and that will be during our 2-hour early outs as well. So, questions? Yeah.
So on that line, with the 50, Mary mentioned 50% of the teachers are using it and are engaged, and some of them are doing more on their own. So is there a focus that all teachers will be at that spot?
Certainly all teachers. As Mary did indicate, all teachers have been required to do an integration project. So again, I think some classrooms do lend themselves more to more usage. I think we would agree. I'm not sure vocal music that you're going to use it every day, although that they have interests as well too. And Liz Schumacher does a lot of things with technology. But I think, you know, your writing classes come to mind and some of those. But certainly it is an expectation to push our teachers for more integration. Absolutely.
I was just going to say the 50%, I mean, we have 100% participation of teachers doing the tech training. We have 50% doing the 15 hours of it, above and beyond the 4. So, and that's really unheard of too. And there's many schools out there that have tried to copy our example and haven't been able to do so because they don't have administrative support like we do. So as much as, you know, my efforts, it wouldn't be anything without the support of the administration. And I think that's right. We've made technology a priority here, and I think it shows. And Kemper is always a leader when we go to Sioux City Diocesan meetings. We're going tomorrow. They look to us for answers and leadership, and we take a lot of pride in that. We are a leader in that, and especially too when we go down to the AEA. Kemper's known for their technology, and we'd like to keep it that way too.
I'd like to introduce Nancy Peterman. Nancy, when Mary, let me stand up, Nancy's filming, but Nancy is kind of Mary's, they go together on all this tech training, so we don't want to forget Nancy. She's But the other thing, I guess, Brad Nichols, Brad's president of our school board, he's here. The school board is committed, both of these teachers have extended contracts. That means beyond their regular contract, the school board, you're the parishioners in the tuition, you people are paying these people extra days to spend the hours on Saturday morning or Wednesday night, whenever they're in here, for the working with the staff. So they do have extended contracts, and that is one thing. I've been in public systems. That's one thing the public schools have been cutting back on, is extended contracts, because of budget. You know, there's only so many dollars in the budget. You need to be thankful to our board when you see them that they provide that kind of extended contract for our technology people. So, a couple comments there. So. Any other questions?
Again, it might, oh, go
There
ahead.
she has a question.
Okay, so are you recommending for 6th through 8th grade the Chromebooks? And then 9 through 12, the laptops?
Well, let me tell you, I am a mother of a 13-year-old who will be in 8th grade next year.
And they all have to have.
All right,
Oh,
repeat
the question is, do we recommend a Chromebook for 6 through 8 and a laptop for the high school, 9 through 12? And the answer is yes. My daughter Elizabeth is going to be in the 8th grade. I do have a Chromebook at home that I purchased last year. It was $250. She's going to take that with her to school. When she's a freshman, I'm going to buy her a laptop. That's me. I think, and I do have an iPad at home too, and I asked her, I said, okay, Elizabeth, what device do you want to use for school? And she said, well, Chromebook. And I said, what about the iPad? Well, that's for fun, for her. Now, there are a lot of great apps on the iPad. I have tons of educational ones, and I have ton of fun ones too. So, knowing how she can get distracted sometimes, I'm getting her the Chromebook to start with. But if she ever needs to use the iPad, she can take that as well. Yeah.
I'm just curious, like, as far as like safety for the devices you bring, as far as like when they're at PE, when they're at lunch. You like to think there's not going to be a problem with them being taken, but it could possibly be an issue.
Certainly. I mean, the question is safety of your device. Because there are going to be different varieties. There are going to be older ones and newer ones. And you know as well as I do, when Christmas comes, a new device will probably come out again that everyone's going to want. And so that's something that we talked to Bishop Hewlin with as well. They have had 0 thefts. And I think a lot of it has to do with, you know, having the Catholic faith and morality, truly. You know, and if a student's ever concerned about that, we've talked about that too, they certainly can, you know, bring it to the library to keep it there until the end of the day, or when they're not using it. There'll be holding places, if you will, that they can store them safely and get them back.
Yeah, that's a good question. If you go up to our library right now, there are some shelves that are empty. So I think we could easily, Mrs. Miller could easily say, you know, put a little name tag on, and the student could just walk by the library and drop it off, and they need to go to PE or they need to go wherever. Kemper is a safe place. I think we can expedite that, and Earl, I'm sure Mr. Schultz at middle school could do something similar to that. So the library is available. Bill, you want to comment?
I think I've been here 15 years with technology, and in those 15 years, we've had one desktop computer that was stolen over at St. Lawrence way early, a long time ago, when we first got going. Someone broke the window and got in. We had a projector stolen out of our lab here one time where the school was broke into. But as far as stuff walking away, laptops, we haven't lost a single laptop. We haven't. We've got some good kids in this school, really do.
Yes, Mary, and maybe you addressed this, I apologize, it's difficult. The Chromebook versus a laptop for the 6th to 8th graders, what's the advantage of the Chromebook outside of it being quicker as far as internet access?
As far as 6 through 8, because they do use Google Docs very heavily over there, and Chromebooks are real conducive with that. That's one of the things. It's lightweight. If you've ever seen 6th or 7th or 8th graders walk in their halls, have you seen them? Their arms stretch from all the books they carry. It's lighter weight, so it won't be as heavy as a laptop. So that's part of the reason too. Inexpensive. I mean, the Acer that Bill was talking about. Did you say they're starting at 200? Now instead of 250, the Samsung I think is 250 and the Acer's 200 or 250. So I mean, and you can always add or delete. The laptop, once you get there, then again you have more access to save to the hard drive. Chromebooks do not have a hard drive. You can save to a flash drive, and you can save to your Google Drive as well. Any others, Nancy?
Yeah, the Chromebook completely can be fixed. Every piece comes apart and can be purchased. So if somebody knows how to do that, I don't know, I'm not volunteering. but my son took his screen because, of course, he laid something on it. He's a senior, so you'd think he'd know not to lay things on it. But it broke the screen, and he's never had a Chromebook apart before. He just YouTubed it, took the Chromebook screen in, put it on, and it works fine. So it's, you know, for somebody that's going to be maybe not as careful with it, it might be easier to, repair.
So it's going to be possible to use a Chromebook in high school also?
Oh yes, you
Yes.
can use the Chromebook through the high school too. Yeah.
Yeah. The kids don't mind the Chromebooks at high school. It's just if you have like a video project or something like that you want to do the editing and things, there's just some limitations. It's not that they couldn't. If you talk to the high school kids, most of them will say that they don't mind it as a secondary, where you're taking notes and that type of thing. But even my son, when he has to do Mrs. Spicer's paper at midnight, but he'll get the laptop out just for the ease of the keyboard and things like that, and doing more things with it.
And we're still going to have,
Oh, he does.
and we're still going to have our mobile labs that we have available, and our stationary labs are still going to be here. So if there is a project that the teacher needs a special software or something like that, they will still be able to use those laptops, or they'll be able to go to those labs. So those are still going to be available.
One back there.
Okay.
I think Jill had her hand up.
My question kind of builds
No.
on what Jill asked about the safety of it. My concern before she asked hers was my daughter is involved in a fall sport, a winter sport, a spring sport. I'm thinking of, I picked her up from track today, they leave all their bags sitting on the ground outside the field house while they're at practice. My concern is when they're going to practice or getting on a bus to travel somewhere, that they've got their own devices to take home and it's constant. Do you have an idea there?
We asked a lot of schools that when we traveled to, like, what do they do? And they suggested to, like, coach's office or a holding area like that before they leave their devices all there, get on the bus, go, come back, pick them up, and then go home. So, yeah, we asked that specifically because, and we asked them too, when they have other schools coming in, what about theft that way as well? They said too that usually when they have home games even, they have the kids put their devices in the coach's office or the school office, lock it up, they can get them after the game for safety.
And if the parent picks the student up from someplace, I mean, the device can stay in school overnight as far as that goes, and they can pick it up in the morning again. It won't be charged, but, that's an option.
Any concerns about them getting on websites that they're not supposed to be on, though? I mean, with them having it all the time, or apps even?
I'm going to tell you right now that yes, students will be off task, and yes, students are off task now. It's part of what they're doing. And I think instead of, one of the approaches we're looking at too, instead of always just sort of slapping the hand and saying no, 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 is, myself too, and Bill can attest to this, I usually have 12 windows open at the same time, and I have 2 monitors going besides my Mac desktop too. My iPad sitting there as well, on my phone. That's how a lot of our kids are working. They do some personal stuff, they do some business stuff, and all of it is all together. So part of that is teaching them how to manage and how to shut it off too, and to focus on those things. As far as we will have our network blocking, everything like we do now, our filter and that sort of thing. We've been talking to some kids as well, about inappropriate apps. I've been doing a lot of talk about that this year with parent groups. We sort of have an epidemic going on, folks. We have way too many kids that have way too many apps that are not age appropriate. Snapchat is 13 or older. Facebook 13 or older. Twitter 13 or older. Vine is 17 and older. And our kids have these apps and they're not using them appropriately. We have had several cases of bullying going on, even as low as the 4th grade here with those apps. Serious enough that police even had to be involved in some of this. So that's something that we need your help with. We need your help to say, those age limits are there for a reason. It's just like we don't send a 4th grader into a rated R movie or an X-rated movie. That's what some of those apps are. And trust me again, I am a mother of 2 teenagers and they keep me on my toes too. They're sneaky, and so we have to be on our toes and keep monitoring them and let them know that we're watching them.
We will have better control with our new network as far as our filtering and stuff. I mean, we'll be able to isolate it down in the buildings more. Right now, it's pretty general. It filters everybody about the same. So we're going to be able to filter more precisely, like in St. Lawrence or Holy Spirit or whatever. So we can we can start filtering more age-appropriate stuff too. So.
Will you guys, in the beginning of the year, be talking to all the students, about what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, and things like that?
We're actually meeting with students next week. We're letting them know about the BYOD, because again, they have a lot of misconceptions already, too, about what this all means and what it doesn't mean. So we're going to start and we're going to talk to all of them. We're still working out with the high school, but I've got 6th through 9 and 5th grade scheduled already. So they'll at least 5th through 8th grade will be covered by Wednesday of next week. And then yes, for you as well, we are going to be holding a lot of parent sessions as well. You're going to be seeing a lot more of me next year, I think. I hope, I pray. Maybe we can get some more refreshments, things. No, I'm just kidding. But I think we have to be in this together because as much as I do all my research, every day there's something. And like I said, these teenage kids of mine, they keep me on my toes too and keep me searching and trying to find better ways to protect them as well. And so I want to share that stuff with you. We're all in this together. It's the students, the parents, and it's the teachers and the tech support and administration. We're a team in all of this, and we need to work together. So it's one of our goals that we will work to educate you folks as well as we continue.
Just a reminder, I know it's getting on past an hour, so reminder there's a Monday night meeting at 6:30 at St. Lawrence. So pass the word to your friends and neighbors and encourage them to come if they weren't here tonight, or go to the website. Right, this information is there. So read and pay attention. I know some of you have to leave, and so the form, if you need those, just put them on the table. There's a table back there, table up here. If you have more questions, just come right up here and we'll be glad to help you with it. And I do want to thank the teachers for coming tonight as well as the presenters.
Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you.